Hello everybody, it's me back at it again. I took a little sort of a break from this and now I will be just blasting non-stoply till my channel grows very big. I hope that it will happen someday, but I don't think that it will happen very fast because of my epic production quality, which is completely minimal. But regardless, I will be in this video talking about Ayn Rand and her philosophy, and I will be probably making this a new series of mine. I kind of have many series going on my channel at the moment, but I will be still making this a one. So one of the things that people seem to forget about Ayn Rand is the fact that she's not a novelist, nor is she a philosopher. She's more of an ideologue, at least in my estimation. And what she kind of did with her philosophy is that she deconstructed the political elements between socialism and capitalism in the political context. So one of the ways she did this is through her virtue of selfishness. So by placing selfishness as a virtue and altruism as a bad thing, she kind of deconstructs capitalism and socialism, because in her kind of her mind, capitalism practices selfishness to bring about altruism, whereas socialism practices altruism to bring about selfishness. Now you can just on a personal level disagree with her. I'm not advocating my opinions about her. I'm just trying to emphasize how I see her philosophy through her own mind. And one of the things that I found really interesting was this kind of altruism, selfishness dynamic in Trump's presidency. Because if you look at, for example, the Paris Accord thing, it was clearly that Trump sort of used this Randian notion of the selfishness, and he kind of, I'm not sure if this is too strong of a word, but he kind of blackmailed the Democrats into being pro-green naturalist value, because he by being selfish about the Paris Accord, he kind of forced the Democrats into a point where they would have to kind of be forced into the pro-environmental side. And of course they already were there, but the idea is that if they would have slipped into the non-environmental side of the political spectrum in that specific moment where Trump blackmailed them with Paris Accord, it would have led to the fact that Trump could have said that the Democrats, they're not as environmental as they say they are, or something like that. It would have led to that. So I think that that's one of the ways in which Trump thinks. He uses the Randian notion of the selfishness to kind of emphasize his own opinions, and he seems to think that his own opinions are completely correct. So that's why the Randian notion of the virtue of selfishness becomes like a capitalist version of political postmodernism, because first of all, Trump thinks that he's correct, and now he has this selfishness as a virtue. So this will lead to the fact that he can be selfishness, and he can practice things that he thinks are correct through that virtue of selfishness. So it leads to the fact that the only way to counter him is to either agree with him, given that if he is completely correct in everything. And I'm not advocating my political views on him in this analysis. So given that if he is correct in everything, the Democrats will have to agree with him, or will have to prove that he is incorrect in some way. So that's why the Randian notion of the selfishness is very, very powerful, because you can also be selfish in the sense that I want to do the right thing. It's just it's kind of different kind of selfishness. It's not egoistic selfishness. It's more of an selfishness with utility. So Rand sort of took from Nietzsche the kind of power-hungry elements and egoistic elements of Nietzsche's version of selfishness, and she pulled them away from the darkness of Nietzsche himself, from the dark depths of the abyss, and instead she used them in a way that was more how would you say, in a supportive manner, to support one's arguments. And if you look at overall Trump's behavior in the political world, he kind of the formula seems to be that he sort of acts very selfishly, but then he kind of justifies his selfishness by being in his mind at least correct in some of these cases. So that's where it goes really, really, really interesting. And I'm not sure if you can sort of see what I'm trying to say with this Randian notion of selfishness. What I'm trying to say is that you can be selfish in the sense of wanting to do the right thing, whatever it is. And you can also be selfish in the sense that you can just be an egoistic bastard. But I don't think that the Randian philosophy is one that supports the being the egoistic bastard kind of selfishness. I think that in her little mind, in her little whippersnapper mind, she was thinking about the kind of selfishness that that wants to do the right thing always. So she's kind of an counter to postmodernists. But it's amazing to me that how she sort of called this situation out already. And I think that people have misinterpreted her philosophy greatly throughout the world. I feel as though people, when they look at Rand, they only see this kind of money, 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 booze, 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 cigars, cigars, cigars type of philosophy that isn't what she's about, in my estimation. So I will be focusing more on the individualistic aspects of her philosophy later, but this was a kind of a brief introduction. And one of the books, if you want really to get into her, you should read this. I brought my copy for this video, so it's called Atlas Shrugged, a great book in my estimation, regardless of your personal political views, because it's a fascinating opus of sort of literature, and she kind of squeezed her little philosophy slash ideology into her novel, so you can probably see it more in there. So that's about all, I think. Have an awesome day, and I will be making more videos today, so if you watch this to the end, you will probably see me again today. If you dare to watch my videos. This was a kind of a babble, but I will be definitely making a more in-depth analysis of this virtue of selfishness and her ideas about socialism and capitalism and the overall fight between them, because I don't see myself as a advocate of either. I'm just a person who does God's will, so I don't really care about the political ideologues on a personal level, so I feel as though I could be a pretty neutral kind of a person to get this information from. I'm probably not the most advanced person to get this information from, but I feel as though people need, in this context of the political situation of the world, people kind of need people need kind of people who are completely neutral and open to everything. So I feel as though I'm one of those. So that's about all. Peace.